Hello and welcome back to the Aqua Pod. Today I'm joined by University of Edinburgh swimmer Kara Hanlon, a European and Commonwealth finalist, Scottish record holder and European short course medalist. Kara will be going full circle this summer to represent the Western Isles at a 6th Island Games. We chat a little bit through those upcoming games and her previous experiences. We look at some of our other international experiences over the past couple of years, as well as resilience in the sport. I also chatted to the head coaches of Orkney and Shetland, Inga Burton and Petur Petursson, as we look ahead to the first Island Games in Scotland since 2005. Enjoy the show. I'm delighted to be joined by Kara Hanlon on the Aqua Pod today. Kara, thanks very much for joining me. You've obviously had quite a busy weekend, just passed at the Scottish National Open Championships. How are you getting on and how did you find that?
Thank you for having me, firstly. It's an honour to be on the podcast. I had a really good weekend at Scottish Open and came away with the triple title in the breaststroke events, which I'm really happy with. And my last long course meet of the season as we head into the Island Games in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, definitely a kind of successful weekend for you personally, but also for your teammates as well. Lots of good individual performances coming together to win Edinburgh the top club title. How are things going at the moment at Edinburgh? Obviously, it seems to be lots of kind of positive swimming going on and just a great place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were really happy to see that kind of shine over the weekend. I think especially shout out goes to Kara Hanlon, who was producing PBs and also getting back down to her best in the 200 fly. I think that's been on the cards for her for a long time, so I'm really proud of that. And I think it just shows that everyone at Edinburgh, we really fight for trying to be the best we can, and even if that was 4 or 5 years ago, I think we can still fight to be back at our best every single time. So really proud of my teammates, and I think Edinburgh really coming together as a team this year. We've had a lot of ups and downs over the last year or so, but I think what really shows when we come to race is that we are one team and one family, and we all really back each other when it counts the most.
Yeah, I think that kind of camaraderie really shines through from the outside looking in as well. You can see how close you all are and how supportive a unit it is as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think the support is probably the strongest thing that there is, and even though we've got the 3 groups at Edinburgh, I think that we do gel quite well together, and the coaches do a great job of that as well.
Fantastic. We'll go on a little bit later on to talk about the Island Games that you mentioned and a few other bits and bobs, but I thought it'd be a good opportunity just to hear a little bit about you personally and your journey as well, Kara. And a lot of people will know your journey. I know it's been quite well documented now about, starting in a 12.5 metre pool and, these things. But I wonder if you want to just give a bit of a little bit of a kind of short summary about who you are and where you came from and what the start of your journey to becoming an elite swimmer was.
Well, we're going back a good few years now. But basically, I was born and brought up in Stornoway on the Isle of Lewis. I was training probably maybe twice a week up until the age of 14 in a 25 metre pool. And then I was approached by a coach who had a little group up in Ness, which is where the 12.5 metre pool was. And then thereafter, my dad would drive me up to Ness 4 nights a week to train with him up in the 12.5 metre pool. And then I guess when I passed my driving test, that was me off and I could take myself to training, which was ideal. I did that for, I guess, from the age of 14 to 18, was travelling up back and forth to Ness to the 12.5 metre pool 4 nights a week. And then I would also do one 25 metre session in the middle of the week. And then at age of 16, I got on the Scottish Swimming Sports Scotland Institute of Sport, and they managed to actually open the pool up for me in the mornings. Previously, it wasn't open till 8 a.m. So I couldn't get in before school, as the normal traditional swimmer would be in at 5 or 6 in the morning. I was never that person. So when I got on the institute, they kind of thought, right, we've got an opportunity here to, get more training in for Kara. So they managed to open the pool between 7:15 just for me. So it would just be me and one lifeguard.
Wow.
At the pool, we had the whole building to ourselves. It was quite strange, actually, now to think of it. But since then, a lot of adults who work early in the morning actually took on to that and actually did a petition for the pool to be open from 7 every morning, and now that is the case, which is really exciting. Yeah, so I like to think of that as like a little legacy that the Institute helped me with, and that we've left in Stornoway now, that the workers can get in before work for a wee swim, which is great. And then, at age 18, I was looking for opportunities of where I would head for university, and the moment I came to Edinburgh, it just felt right, and obviously I chose Edinburgh, and I've been here for 10 years now, which is crazy to think. And it's been a roller coaster, as always. I didn't make my first senior team until 25. That was Commonwealth Games in 2022. And then managed to make 2 individual finals and a relay final at that event, which was amazing. Then carried on to do the European Championships in Rome that year, made my first European final, and then a few semi-finals in the 200 and the 50. Then the following year was just as fast, I guess. Went on to make the world's team, which were in Fukuoka in Japan in 2023, and then also competed later that year in the European Short Course Championships. And then 2024 came around, and it was a big year for me. I really wanted to try and qualify for the Olympics, and unfortunately I just missed the cut. But I guess that is just part of sport, and obviously, it doesn't take away from everything I've already achieved. But it definitely took a lot of resilience to try and come back from that.
Of course.
And then I guess I fell back in love with the sport again this last year, and unfortunately missed out on World Championships this year, but obviously bittersweet. I am actually able to compete for the Western Isles at the Island Games in 2 weeks' time in Orkney. And the Island Games have been a big part of my development. I went to my first games when I was 14, and they were in the Isle of Wight, and they're on every 2 years. So I went every 2 years up until 2019. Obviously COVID hit, and then they had the next games in 2023, which I was obviously at Worlds for. So missed that games, but it's nice to be almost full circle moment back competing for the Western Isles.
No, it's amazing, and actually there's so much there, isn't there, that you've managed to achieve. You mentioned the Commonwealth Games after trying to make the team 2 times before and being so close, I think I'm right in saying, and then just after that going to European Championships. You're a European short course medalist as well, went to World Championships. For someone from a place that's so remote, and we talk about the kind of logistical challenges there about having to open a pool that just isn't open because there's no one to do it. What's your message to someone that would be in your boat now about how to approach, if you've got a goal, it could be in swimming, it could be in another sport. What's your message to them?
I think that's such an important question, and I hope I answer it right. But I think when I look back at my own journey, the main thing that comes from it is that fact of just like not being hung up on what everyone else has, and actually just really using what you've got to your advantage. I think that is really the key. And I think that actually if something's working for you, just keep doing that. I think there's no point in changing it because everyone else is doing something else. I think if what you've got is working for you, just keep at it. And I think if you enjoy what you do, if you keep wanting to strive to be better, I think that's the 2 main things that any athlete wants. And an athlete who has absolutely every facility or every resource available to them, they might not enjoy it and they might not have that strive to get better. And I think that any athlete from anywhere can go and try and be the best they can be.
Awesome, that's a great message, I think, Kara. You obviously have been, to these big competitions, like we said, and it wasn't until you're 25, which is quite unusual in some ways. As an elite swimmer, normally it would be your early 20s, or sometimes even a bit earlier than that. And then you went on to do, 2 or 3 competitions in a really short period of time. How do you kind of look back at that period now of sort of immense achievement, really in a really focused period, and you're still competing now, but looking back to sort of 2022 and 2023, what were those kind of years like, and how do you look back on maybe in particular like a home Commonwealth Games, which is such a special time to be on your first international team?
Absolutely. I think as funny as it sounds, like almost not making the Olympics in 2024 really made me reflect on the 2 years that I'd had previously. And I think, as you say, it all happened so fast that sometimes you forget, like, the little moments within all that. And, it took me just sort of one day to like think, oh gosh, like, would I, if it was 10 years ago and I said, you've achieved all this, but unfortunately you didn't make the Olympics, like, would you be happy with it? And like the answer is yes. I think like looking back to me as an 18-year-old coming from the Western Isles, I think to have said I've been able to compete at all these events and achieve what I have is something quite incredible, and it's something I'm really, really proud of. And I think those 2 years were, a whirlwind, but I absolutely loved every second. And I think in hindsight, it makes me enjoy the small moments more now. Like even just becoming Scottish champion at the weekend, like that doesn't happen every day. And I think just making sure that you enjoy the small moments as well as these big ones really help to, make your journey feel, that much better, and that much, being present in the journey is key.
And I guess just picking up on the small details from being around other athletes that have achieved so much as well must be really, really useful, and using that to, push you forward in your own journey as well.
100%. And I think I guess, I hope that the journey that I've had and the resilience that I've shown will, come across, and I hope that inspires people to, want to achieve what they want to achieve as well, and know that they can do it, and to also be really patient. I think patience is key sometimes, and I think that sometimes the best athletes just need to be that wee bit patient until the moment happens for them.
Obviously, you were part of Team Scotland in Birmingham, which is a really cool experience, and something that probably every Scottish swimmer will want to have done or want to do. Is there any moments that kind of stand out from those 2 or 3 weeks down in Birmingham and before in the prep camp and things that were really special to you, or that you look back on really fondly?
There's definitely a few. I remember the kit day. That was really cool. Trying on all the kit, having like the Scotland shirt on for the first time. I think that was really cool. It made everything feel quite real. And I think that's definitely one I'll keep for a long time. And I guess as well, once we got there, just being in the village, being around all these elite athletes, it was surreal. And then I think in terms of the actual swimming, it was that moment where I was walking out for semi-finals or for finals, and the crowd was just so loud. And I honestly wasn't expecting it, I think, because it was quite a small arena and there wasn't that many spectators. It was kind of just the one side. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, like, is that for me? kind of thing. And it felt like we were in Scotland. It was that loud. And there was so much support for the Scottish swimmers. It was amazing. And I think even just looking up to the crowd and seeing that sort of wall of blue with the flags where all their parents were, and the family and boyfriends and girlfriends were all sitting with their flags. I think that just made it feel really real, and feel that you had all that support behind you. And I think that's something that yeah, I'll never forget that feeling and that noise as well. And yeah, I guess that just makes me excited to think that what we could have next year in Glasgow.
Yeah, well, that's quite a nice segue. I was going to mention that there about Glasgow, and it's the elephant in the room, I guess. You know, everyone's sort of thinking about it and talking about it, and there's still goals to be met this season and things, but everyone wants to be on that team, and it's a really exciting time. We didn't think we'd have another home games as close, even in the UK, let alone in Scotland after having it in Glasgow in 2014. How excited are you about the opportunity to be on that team and potentially swim in front of a home crowd and with a lot of people that you train with and that you've raced alongside for years and years as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like the opportunity is massive, and I really hope that a lot of people from Edinburgh, as well as every other team, really take on that challenge of trying to get the best out of themselves and trying to qualify. I think it will be really tough. I think that there's a lot of Scottish swimmers who will be performing really, really well, and I think that will make it hard for the selectors, unfortunately, but also amazing, because I think if anything came from Birmingham 2022 was just how amazing it was, and how much that spurred on so many people to be like, I want to be on the next one. And I guess at that time it was a wee bit uncertain whether it would happen or not. And now that we know it will happen in Scotland, and we don't know if it will be on in another 4 years' time or not, I guess it just makes it that even more prominent to try and qualify and trying to have that Scotland top on and be represented. So yeah, I think it makes it, there's a lot of things that put extra wee bits of, I don't know, makes it extra special in a way.
Yeah, of course.
For everyone. So I think, for me especially, it's probably the last time I'll be able to represent Scotland, and I will do everything I can to try and qualify and be part of it.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I'm excited just listening to you. I think it's going to be an amazing year, isn't it? And an amazing week in Glasgow as well. So we're all looking forward to it. Just before we go on to the Island Games, thought I'd touch on last year when you were the star of your own documentary, Kara Hanlon, Dare to Dream, which I guess would have been quite a kind of unusual experience. Not something that everyone gets to go through. What was that experience like? Because I know the documentary kind of culminated at the Olympic trials, but it was months of sort of filming and having Jack, the videographer, filming you in the Western Isles and also in Edinburgh and things. Was it quite an unusual experience?
It was an amazing experience. I think, when Jack approached me with the idea, I was, a wee bit unsure, because it was such an important year, and I guess you don't want to change much in that kind of a year. And I was wondering, like, would it be too much? Would it be detrimental to my training, etc.? And I think I made the decision that actually to be able to show the story and to like maybe leave a legacy from it was maybe more important. And I'm so glad that we did it now. I've watched it back, and actually probably only like twice, because I can't really watch it without crying, but it is such a lovely way to like show the story, and almost on a personal note, like it's a way for me to like, who gets to document all that so their swimming journey, like with everyone who's been involved from the very start. And I think that's really, really special, and it's something that not a lot of people have. And I just feel really, really grateful for the opportunity to have been able to show that and hopefully tell, a story that might be a wee bit different from others. And it was a bit strange having a videographer, following you around every day. I remember there was one day where he came to the flat and was filming me making my scrambled eggs, and I was thinking, I want to see this. And unfortunately it didn't make the cut, but there was lots of moments where he was just there, filming, and I think I got used to it in the end. At the beginning it was very strange, and I felt, almost a wee bit like, oh gosh, like why is it film me? But it became a wee bit more easy by the end. And yeah, I'm just grateful for everyone who took the time to be involved as well. And I know he took up a lot of time with Matt as well, and he was really good with it, and really gave great feedback as well. So yeah, just grateful.
No, I thought it was really well done, the documentary. I thought it was absolutely brilliant, and the story is great, and you know, Matt was brilliant in it as well from the sort of coaching side. So yeah, no, just brilliant, and great to kind of have that sort of access to your story, and you know, being able to spread that to a different audience, I guess, that maybe wouldn't know it. It was fantastic. So I think it is still available somewhere on the BBC. So if people want to watch it, then there's a little plug for Dare to Dream. So yeah, go and give that a watch. But it's a full circle moment, as we've already kind of talked about for you this year, Kara. So, you know, you've been to 5 previous Island Games, I believe that's right. So Isle of Wight, Bermuda, Jersey, Scotland and Gibraltar, I think I'm right in saying. So quite a mix of places. And you've been really, really successful, having won 12 medals, I think 8 of those gold as well. You know, so a really successful kind of haul for you already for the Western Isles.
Yeah.
What does the Island Games mean to you as an athlete and someone that's experienced all these kind of other things now and coming back to it as well?
I think, yeah, for me, it's been something that's been around throughout my whole journey in swimming, and I think it was really quite an integral part of my development. I went to the Isle of Wight as a 14-year-old, you know, didn't make any finals, but just was there for the experience, and absolutely loved it, and you know, really got on board with that whole team ethos, and you know, was able to watch loads of sports because it's a multi-sport event. And yeah, then obviously went again in 2013 to Bermuda, and by that point I was making finals, coming fourth, and then we moved on to Jersey 2015, and I was winning medals, and then got, you know, breaking records. So yeah, I guess it's just been that part that's always been there throughout my development as I've gotten better and as I've gotten faster in my sport. And I think as well, you know, it's special in a way, like it is representing Scotland at the Commonwealth Games, where you don't get the opportunity that often to represent the place that you're from. And I think, yeah, putting on like the Western Isles top and being able to represent and perform at the sport that I do is something that's really special, and yeah, something that not a lot of people get to do, and I think it just brings out that uniqueness that Islanders have, I guess, and that opportunity to race against people who have had the same opportunities as you or similar, and it brings just that sense of, yeah, just enjoyment for what you've got, where you've come, and yeah, where you're going as well.
Now, with the games obviously being a home games in Scotland, we thought we'd take the opportunity to speak to some of the coaches from the other islands. So let's hear now from Inga Burton from Orkney and Petur Petursson from Shetland. Delighted to be joined on the Aqua Pod by Inga Burton and Petur Petursson. Thank you both for joining me. First of all, how are you kind of both feeling about the games? You're both kind of going to be leading your respective islands from a coaching perspective. Are you kind of starting to feel excited now about the coming weeks?
Yeah, very excited. The swimmers have obviously been working toward this for quite some time. Yep. The swimmers set quite a few goals a number of years ago as a team, and this was obviously one of, you know, those goals, knowing in advance that the games was coming to Orkney. So yeah, they're really hyped up about it and looking forward to it. So a lot of work being put in.
Yeah.
From my perspective, I've done a lot of island games over the years, as well as when I was in Shetland in 2005. So, but anxious, apprehensive, excited, kind of all at the same time, not really knowing what to expect.
Yeah. And I guess for swimmers from, you know, like Orkney and Shetland, often they won't get opportunities, or there's less opportunity to compete at a higher level, and it's more difficult to get there. How important it is having something like the Island Games to have that sort of outlet where they can be competitive against people from across the world?
Yeah, I think it's really important. It's part of the culture, really, I would say, across the island communities. that compete, and it's something that it's held quite close to folks' heart within that community, and it does give a platform. You'll see a lot of swimmers, once they go on, they still kind of have a place for it. So it's there's a strong community around it. I think that's really special. I think we've proven that we can compete at that national level as well, but it certainly gives something that is just that there's a community element to it, that I think folk are feeling that they're representing Orkney on that international stage, or their respective island kind of community, and there's something quite special about that. So I think it'll be really good to have that at home in Orkney as well this year.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I would add to that, I've always viewed Island Games as a stepping stone to hopefully bigger things, to give our young people in particular the opportunity to experience, as you say, the big international events, the crowds, the going away as a team for a week and a bit. And thinking back, like say, Andrea Strachan, who from the Commonwealth Games swam with us, always took huge pride in that Shetland jacket, Shetland top, and to represent Shetland. And she'll still say today that the opportunity of Island Games and inter-county as well was a huge stepping stone for her to achieving Commonwealth Games, and that while she was quite young, I think she probably swam her first Island Game when she was 12 or 13. I think it has to be 13. And then at uni, she swam at Edinburgh Uni. And did her last Island Games just after she finished uni. And at that point she swam in an island. She swam in the Commonwealth Games, and then you have Amy Harper, or Jamieson now, and Felix Gifford, all those who shone at the Island Games, and the opportunities and excitement that creates. And the biggest challenge for us, I think, is just to try and keep that stepping stone element going, to keep it for as much as we possibly can, those young swimmers, to inspire them, make them want to go, get them to cut their teeth in it quite young, so that in 2 years' time, like a Pharaoh, they're excited about it and they want to put in the work, and they know, right, okay, I finished 15th, but if another 2 years' time, maybe I can make a final.
Of course.
And that to me is what it's all about. And if you end up with a medal at the end of it somewhere, that's a bonus.
But it's not.
But it's how to inspire, and hopefully they might end up in Scottish squads because of that.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? It definitely motivates them, and along the way, all the other things kind of come along. So you have that kind of goal of, it's something that I can be part of from an island perspective that's different. You can't access it unless you're an island, you're born in the island, or you've been living there for 12 months. So it's like there's an exclusivity to it.
Which is pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Actually, so get that often when you're from an island or from somewhere remote.
Exactly. So the rest of Scottish swimmers, won't, unless you've been born in that island or lived in that island for 12 months, you can't get to that. So it's something different. So, being able to be part of that, training for that, then that's accessible to them, all these other things come along as well. So, that, sort of district and national and stuff too. So that's pretty cool.
And the same thing, I think there's so many younger ones. And personally, this year I'd like to have been able to take some more younger ones, but that didn't happen. But there's so many over the many years that come away from their first games and they go, can't wait for the next ones. So Pharaoh next time around, and you're hoping at the end of these ones for them, this is their first time. We'll actually think, you know what, that's me. They'll want to be inspired and work hard and kind of ask the question, what do I have to do?
And it is like a mini Commonwealth Games, you have your opening ceremony and your closing ceremony, and the same on the pool side, you have your own mini opening ceremony on the pool side and things like that. So it does, for some of them, it's that little spark. It's like, of course. I like this.
And it's the multi-games element as well, isn't it? Because there'll be competitions like one we're at the moment in the Scottish Nationals, where, you're with swimmers from across the country and across the UK and things, but you won't maybe have been in that situation where there's athletics going on or whatever other sport,
Absolutely. And so you're there as part of that bigger team. Yeah. So it's not just about you as an individual or just your sport team, but also, that bigger thing as well, which is really nice too.
One of the greatest things about I'm going to go back into county, for example, Shetland a couple of weeks ago, and even Orkney in the county last year. The noise in the venue is, and I say to the children before it, the last time I heard such a noise like in Shetland a couple of weeks ago, was when I was at the Commonwealth Games in 2014. Wow. I've never heard so much noise in a swimming pool as that. And it was deafening a couple of weeks ago.
I don't know if we've ever measured it, but maybe we should do that in the future.
And Orkney will be the same.
The last 2 years would have been the best ones to measure though.
Inga, you kind of touched on it, but obviously it's a home games, right, for you, and obviously it's not for you, Peter, but it's close. It's close to Shetland. So do you think that gives a kind of special element in itself, that it's it's where you're from, and you're able to not only represent Orkney but represent Orkney in Orkney? Yeah,
absolutely. And there's obviously like that kind of home advantage, but there's also a strange kind of disadvantage, I would say, as well, because we're always used to travelling to go away to competitions.
Yeah, of course.
So, actually being at home for a competition is different.
I'm just sleeping in the boat bed.
You've got to convince them that sleeping in their own bed is that's an advantage, So it is different, So and kind of you don't have them together as a team within a hotel or so you're having to think differently about how you get them to feel that kind of team sense and that togetherness when they're all in different places, I suppose. So there's a little bit on that management side of things that's different, but I think the other of it is just folk that are in Orkney seeing what they're part of, because we're always going away to trips, then the wider community won't necessarily get that feel for it. So it's a real chance to just let them be part of it and see what they're doing and how they're achieving what they are and such like. So
amazing. And Peter, for yourself as well, obviously being so close to Shetland, I know there's that kind of historic rivalry between Orkney and Shetland, but with it being
friendly,
a friendly rivalry, but it is close, and it's great for your swimmers as well to have that element of familiarity with their surroundings, right?
I think it is, and it's a pool that everyone that we've got going will have swum in many times over the years, and it's a fantastic facility. And nobody is concerned about the pool or anything, and travel, of course, is much more straightforward. So the Friday before it starts, we will catch the North Ferry, whichever one it is. We'll get on there at leave at 5:30, and we'll arrive in Orkney about 11. And hopefully find somewhere to sleep, some of the accommodation that we've been put into. We were staying across three, staying in three accommodations. It's a swimming team,
Okay,
so but that'll be a bit different for us because we're actually used to always being together. So that'll be a little bit strange, but I think the team management have got all that well in hand.
Yeah. It's one of those things that you don't know until you're there, do you? And that's always that kind of the worry, but it always works out, doesn't it, to a degree?
Yes,
so, just lastly, how much are you both looking forward to it? And is there anyone we should be looking out for in terms of swimmers on your teams?
Oh, just look out for all of them.
Yeah.
They've all been doing really well, actually, and they're all really excited. So I think they're all going to get their opportunity, I think, in the games. And there's ones that have been away for a year or so, studying. So ones that'll be coming back, and then there's young ones kind of coming through. And I'm really excited for all of them. And I'm just looking forward to it. And it's been in planning and preparation for a long time. It was 2 years delayed on the back of COVID. So there was a group of swimmers that we were aiming for, that were targeting that didn't get that chance, so they're not just swimming for themselves, they're swimming for the ones that didn't quite, they missed an opportunity as well. So really looking forward to it, and I'm hoping that everyone that comes in as part of it will really enjoy it as well.
Brilliant.
I can't really add much to that from our perspective. I think having seen the draft programme, I think every final will be hard fought just to get to a final.
Yep.
And I think for a majority of our ones, if they can be close to it or get a final, I think that'll be a good takeaway. And they will, hopefully some that were near it might just inspire them, the younger ones, that, well, I can do this. We have some of us there that have done numerous games and been successful. Jasmine Smith, Emmy Hutchison, they're in the team again this year. And, they'll be there and thereabout. They're in with a chance, but it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you very much again for joining me, and best of luck
Thank
to
you.
both
Thank you very
of
much.
us as well. So great to hear from Inga and Peter there, Kara. It's obviously a home games to a certain degree, albeit you're not obviously from Orkney, but with it being in Scotland, do you think that's a slightly different experience this time, given that all your sort of previous games have been in other parts of the UK or abroad?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the last games in Scotland were in Shetland in 2005, which is a long time ago now, and I think it will bring a completely different experience. I think for the likes of Jersey and Guernsey, where they were able to, build new infrastructure, massive facilities, world-class facilities really, and for it to come to Orkney, where they've actually just honed in on everything that they already have, and they've just made things a wee bit better, or improved things here and there, but are actually able to host off the back of what they already have, I think is quite incredible. And I think that will make it really special, and I think it'll also just hone in on all those aspects of being an islander, where you're able to still, you might not have the best facilities or world-class facilities, but you're still able to perform and to train at such a high level. And I think Orkney will be such a friendly games. I think it'll be just an amazing experience, and I'm really glad that it's in Scotland again, and that Orkney get their chance to show off their island.
I think what's really great as well is sort of speaking to people over the past few weeks is how many Scottish officials and volunteers are going to be there that are already involved in the sport, and it's not a case of people from other places coming in. It's our sort of thing as well, so that's really, really exciting and great to have it in Orkney, and the Picky Centre being the home for an international games is really, really cool, and as you say, it's just really, really unique as well.
Yeah, I think as well, it just, the fact that it's in Scotland, and it almost brings that awareness to the Island Games that maybe wasn't there before. As you say, like, people just want to be involved because it is it's a big international event, and it's really exciting, and I think that brings just that awareness of the Island Games that maybe wasn't there before. Even for the likes of Sport Scotland, looking to it as quite a good event for youngsters from the islands to strive for and to be a part of. And I think that's one of the main things is, for example, for Scotland, for Commonwealth Games, people from Scotland really strive to be a part of that team. And it's really similar to the Island Games, where people from the Western Isles really try and strive to be part of that team, because they know how good that's going to be. So I definitely see familiarities between the two, and I'm just really glad that it's getting the kind of awareness that it deserves.
No, it's really, really exciting. And you're going to be competing, obviously. I think you're down for 4 individual events, the breaststroke events and 100 medley as well, alongside a few relays and things. Your role will be slightly different this time, because you're not the 14-year-old that was in the Isle of Wight in 2011. You're an experienced athlete and going to be the leader of that team. How much are you looking forward to that kind of side of things, and really being the sort of experienced head and someone to turn to for advice and things?
I'm really looking forward to it. I think it will be a completely different experience. I think obviously previously I've gone to the Island Games to try and become better on a personal level, and I think not that I'm not doing that now, but I think that I want to go to the games with a slightly different mindset in terms of just being able to give back to the Western Isles after how much they've given me over the last 10 years, 10, 15 years. And just to be able to say, like, look, this is what I've achieved so far, and being from where I am from, and I guess just that sense of like I'm still, you know, humble, and being able to come back to the Island Games and just hopefully inspire a few who might think that, you know, I guess maybe the Island Games is the limit. I think that sometimes you need to like look beyond that and think, right, what else can I achieve? And I hope that I can, maybe inspire a few to follow their dreams and make it on a bigger level.
Awesome, Kara. I think that's a really nice message to end on. So thanks very much again for joining me, and best of luck in the coming weeks, and fingers crossed you can bring some more medals home for the Western Isles as well.
Fingers crossed. Thank you so much, Charlie.
Thanks to all three guests on today's podcast, and good luck to them and everyone else involved in the upcoming Island Games. For more information about the Games, follow Orkney 2025 across social media. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please leave us a review and follow on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or a like and a comment on YouTube. Many thanks, and we'll see you again next time.